And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, The Voice. As always, standing in the opposite corner, the Broad Street Bully, the man who sharpens everyone, the Iron Man of MTMV Sports, which is why we refer to him as none other than Iron Wildress Ruffin. What's going on, Will? I mean,
Hey,
I'm sorry. I know I could call you that, but I want to call you Rough because you
your,
know you,
your,
you kind of rough around the edges sometimes.
your lead-ins are perfect, man. I need to send you a check for all this gassing me
I,
up that you're doing, man. I'm
I will
excited to be
take
here.
it.
I'm excited to be here, man. We got some good stuff going on. Let me go ahead and get your interest right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the curator of MTMV Combat Sports, the 2022 Spin Awards nominee for The Voice. I mean, come on. Again, the award is named after him. Voice, how are you feeling, sir?
Oh man, as always, anytime I get to talk about fights, I'm feeling fine. Although, I have to say today, I wasn't feeling fine.
Mhm.
You know, the allergies and asthma and all them other A's were getting at me. So
Oh,
didn't work the full day today, but got through the second half of the day, and now I'm ready to power through. I'm pressing my way to get all this wonderful combat sports information to the nation.
well, we glad you're here because I know asthma and allergies are undefeated versus me, so I don't even try to fight it. I'm a big old baby when that happens. Ain't nothing bully about. We'll just when them allergies happen. I want a mother. So, but we got some great stuff, man. Let's go ahead and get into it, especially our first topic here, which is something everyone around the world knows about or has heard about. Jake Paul versus Hasim Rahman Jr. Now, another layer has actually been added to the Paul Rahman drama, so to speak. The fight that was scheduled on August 6th was to be headlined by the two has actually been canceled due to weight issues with Rahman, and this is according to a video that was actually done by Jake Paul. That it was expected to take place in Madison Square Garden, was expected to actually feature Amanda Serrano, who Paul actually also apologized to in the video. Now, many, including Rahman and Dana White, are calling fraud on Paul for various reasons. Dana White, of
Hmm.
course, is stating that he believes that ticket sales are firmly to blame, that Paul is hiding this fact, while Rahman said he believes Paul fears fighting him, as previously it was stated that the New York State Boxing Commission warned Paul against taking this fight for fear that Paul could be seriously hurt. Now, they were supposed to fight at a meat weight of 215, I believe.
Hmm.
Actually, no, 200.
Yeah, yeah,
But
it was 200. Yeah.
Rahman was at 215 and actually said it was kind of dangerous for him to go that low. So, voice, with all the drama behind this, what are your thoughts on this, and where do we go to next?
Well, there are three sides to the story. Sometimes more than that, but there are at least three sides to the story. There's Paul's side and his team. There's Rockman's side and his team. And then there's the truth, which is usually is in the middle somewhere. Um, Him being at 215 and not wanting to go lower, that is understandable. I mean, the man is a heavyweight. And I know he's fought as low as maybe 225,
Mhm.
but I believe he's fought like upwards of 245 at different times. So for him, in short notice, mind you, to say, hey, yeah, I'm going to fight at 200 pounds, that didn't, when I saw that, I was like, because at first I thought that they were going to do it at heavyweight. And I was going to
Mhm.
applaud Paul for doing it. Like, hey, great. I applaud you for doing that. And I'll say this to his credit. His team has like receipts that he's saying, I'll take the fight at 215. But it was really his team who said, no, don't do that. We're not going to let you do that. That's not going to be beneficial to you. And they're intimating that Rahman took the contract with the thought of always saying as it got closer, hey, look, I can't get there. Let's do it at this heavier weight
Mhm.
versus approaching it that way in the first place. Honestly, though, for them to even ask him to fight at 200, that was a big ask. That was a huge ask. And that was something that was always questionable on my part. You know,
Right.
they really, in doing that, were stacking the deck for themselves because, I mean, the man's a heavyweight. He
That's
comes from heavyweight lineage. You know, he's not a small dude. And you're asking him in a pinch to get all the way down below the fighting weights that he's been fighting at.
Mhm.
That yeah, that was just that was a great big ask, and one that I was like, wow, if he does that, you know, kudos to him. But you know, they said that, you know, first he came was like, hey, let's do it at 205. And Paul was like, bet. You know, it was like 215. And Paul was like, bet, but his team was like, no, it's not fair because the day that he weighs in, he's going to be 225, 245. Yeah, he's 215 the weigh-in day. But I should say, not saying that he'd be that much on weigh-in day, he'd be that much on fight day. He'd
Mhm.
be 225, 245 is like, and you'll be 190, you know, at the max to 205 is like that's too much of a weight difference, which that is a huge weight difference. Um, but again, you're asking somebody to fight at short notice. You should have found a cruiserweight who you thought you could beat to fight on short notice like that, you know, but they would not have found because cruiserweight is really devoid of any valuable names. Well, let me not say that. The valuable names that are available at cruiserweight are way too experienced for Paul
Right.
to be fighting. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. Um, I was excited for the fight once I heard he was fighting because I thought that they were going to do it at heavyweight. If that was the case, I'd be excited. The fight would still be on and everything would be great. As far as um, people and the ticket sales are concerned, I don't know. I mean, it's in the summer. You don't have much going on you know, in the summertime. I mean, but New York always has something going on, i.e., your Stanky's hat that you put on your head today. Yeah, you thought I was
Don't
gonna
do
let
it, man. I
you
see.
you thought I was gonna let you slide. You thought I was
I
gonna
knew
let you
you were
slide
going to
with
do it,
that.
and I forgot my Phillies hat. So I listen. I got more hats coming because this is done. I'm not going to let you keep talking about my hat, sir. But I will
Well,
say,
as long as you wear a hat of a team that I despise, I'm gonna have something to say.
you despise everybody.
No, mm-mm.
I will say you made a good point because Rotman also said that he felt like Paul's camp was actually trying to get an advantage of making him weaker by getting
Yeah,
him under there at that quick of a time. But the issue is that they say that Rotman signed a contract for about at 200, and his camp told Paul last Saturday morning that he would weigh in at 215. They say Paul actually agreed that he would meet him at 205, and when they couldn't come to agreement, it was Paul who actually canceled the fight with Rahman still trying to continue the fight. So, I mean, it's a whole weird thing, especially when you consider that the New York State boxing committee did not even want him to take the fight. So I feel like that part is playing a little bit more of a reason than Paul is one to let him on.
all right. Well, let us honor the presence of the king of social media. Or maybe we'll call him the crown prince of social media. I don't know, but none other than our boy Crispy. Now he asked about Logan Paul at SummerSlam. I've said many, many times before, we're not talking fake wrestling on the
Listen,
main card.
listen, you will not slander the WWE. I did an incredible internship with WWE in college,
That's
and
wonderful.
them cats take bumps.
I didn't say that they did not take bumps. I'm not calling the things that they go through because I mean they definitely take their lumps and all that stuff, but you know, it is a testosterone ballet is what it is.
I give you that.
Testosterone filled ballet choreographed and you know, and some of it, you know, let me say for total transparency's sake, they'll they're making up, or I should say, the moves and stuff are not always scripted. They're kind of finding out in the
Yeah.
match what they're doing, when they're doing, how they're doing it. So there's a great amount of skill that goes into it. But it's theater. It's strictly theater. It just happens to be. It's like watching an action movie. Yeah, it's great. You're taking. You're throwing punches and you're slamming people. I want to see an action movie, but
I mean,
I'm not gonna call it a sport.
Until you prove me otherwise, I think Jake Paul and Logan Paul fighting in the ring is the same thing. So,
I'm proving it. As far as fighting is concerned, yes, fighting is real. As far as what they do, or I should say, as far as Jake Paul, yes, he's a true fighter. Logan Paul has fought truly, but right now he's doing his choreographed testosterone ballet. And it is what it is.
You're a bully, voice. As far as that question, I think it's Jake. I think Jake's name is better than Logan. I don't have a reason why.
I don't know. When I hear Jake Paul, I think of Jake from State Farm. That's just me.
So, I think of Jake from Training Day when Denzel be yelling, "Jake, you won't do this to me." That's what I think about.
Okay.
I like his name better. Anyway, moving on.
All right, Crispy. This is the last fake wrestling that we're gonna talk about on this here show.
It's very Crispy is very newsworthy, but Voice is a hater. If you're not talking about the Celtics or combat sports, it doesn't matter. And talking about the Celtics is a waste also because the Voice never sees the truth.
Whatever. I am really truthful. So flipping the ring with Roman in it, is it newsworthy? No, it's drama. It is.
No, it was an incredible match.
It's not newsworthy though. It's like, oh, they did something they were supposed to do that nobody knew anything about. It is are the soap operas newsworthy? Because that's what it is. It's a male soap opera.
But it did make front page news on like CNN and those major websites.
Well, then yes, it's newsworthy. Is it something that we're going to cover any further? No. All right, and now Chris, we stop with all this Lesnar talk. He know how to get his stuff in. Yeah, right. Especially with everything that they're doing right now. So he said Lesnar's gonna have to go back to the UFC to win another heavyweight championship.
I think he was smart to leave because at that rate, he was ready to die in the octagon. So I think it was smart for him to leave. I can't see that happening. But
All right. What's up next?
So moving on now, Michael Conlan is actually returning to action for literally the first time since his loss to Lee Woods earlier this year, and actually what was considered to be a Fight of the Year candidate. Now Conlan is actually going to be facing Miguel Magaria. The bout is going to be actually taking place in a homecoming of sorts for Michael Conlan. It's going to be inside the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland on August 6th. Now, Conlan comes into this fight as a huge underdog while fighting at home in his own backyard. And he's looking to get back on track after that loss to Woods. Now, Voice, I'm seeing the betting people have Conlan literally as an underdog in every website that I'm checking. What are your thoughts on this in his return after coming from an amazing fight that literally took until the last few minutes before he lost? And do you think
it was the last round? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Do you think that he has a solid chance in this fight? Because it doesn't seem anyone's giving him a fighting chance in his own home.
I mean, anyone has a chance, and specifically in boxing, you have a puncher's chance. Conlan, of his 16 victories, 8 of them have been by KO. So can he knock him out? Maybe. Again, anything is possible at any point. As far as having a chance, I would hope that he had a chance. Otherwise, Eddie Hearn is doing some promotional malpractice to put this man in here with Miguel. And I believe with the 2 R's in Spanish, that's a Y sound. So I think it's Maiga is his name, the Colombian. But he is a killer. Now, they're both coming off of losses. The only difference is Maiga lost via unanimous decision, where, as you stated, Conlon lost via KO in the 12th round. But let's not forget, he dropped Lee Wood in the first round. So
Yeah.
it's not like he was doing a bad job in the fight, or it's not like he didn't have his opportunities. It's just that he is the one who got caught towards the end. And I think that was really a good learning experience for him,
Mhm.
because it was his first loss, and it was one of the first times that he's faced someone on that kind of level. For Conlon to be such a underdog in the fight is interesting. I mean, Mariga is number one in Colombia, but that's in Colombia, not necessarily in some of the other stronger boxing countries, i.e., the UK, i.e., the US, and places like that. I don't Mexico. So there are a number of other powerhouse countries. Being number one is always good, but we have to take it with a grain of salt. We have to take
Mhm.
everything into consideration. I think this is a very dangerous fight because Maiga hits super hard. Of his 30 wins, 26 of them have come by way of knockout.
Jeez.
He's been knocked out as well, but only one time in his 5 losses. I mean, and when you look at his overall fighting record, he's got 35 total fights. Well, he has 2 times as many fights as um, Conlon does. So to be in there with someone who stops the majority of the people that he fights, coming in as your bounce back fight, that's super duper brave
Mhm.
and kind of questionable. It's not kind of, it's real questionable. The matchmaking in this one, hopefully, uh, the matchmakers know what they're doing, which is why they set this up. But it's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a challenging fight for sure.
Well, the funny thing about that is that after the loss, they said Colin took the loss hard and actually wanted to take some time off. His team is actually being praised for taking the fight that most people are saying is like you said, it's not an easy fight. Instead of taking what they felt like would have been a cupcake fight, which I don't know how you have a cupcake fight in boxing, but um,
Well, I mean, boxing is the king of tune-ups. So, uh, yeah,
so
this does not seem like a tune-up. But I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
oh no, it just I'm just agreeing with you, but the team is definitely being praised a lot in media for them taking this fight. So it'd be exciting to see what happens and to see if Colin's actually able to pull it out. I'm sure, especially being at home, that'll be a great opportunity for him to kind of bounce back from it all. So
Absolutely, and that's a very important point to bring up as well. This will be at home,
yeah.
and though the UK sits on top as far as boxing is concerned, their commission also sits on top as being questionable. And a lot of UK fighters get that home cooking fighting at home. So that's going to be something to watch as the fight goes on. Uh, Maiga's power is what concerns me. Now, Crispy, yes. Conlon versus Maiga is less than Lesnar versus Reigns in money that is produced. That is correct. Just like so many things are less than other things in money produced. But you're talking about apples and BMWs right now. Totally different things. Not you're in totally two different categories of entertainment. So we're
He
gonna
keeps
move
pulling you
on.
back in.
He keeps trying. Now this
No,
question,
I'm no. That's not a real question. Okay, as a Philadelphia native, I'm not even gonna think about nothing about the whole spinoff with Drago's son because I don't even think that should happen. I think they need to leave it alone, let it go. I don't want to see 5 movies of Drago barely talking or grunting every movie. Okay, I feel strongly about that. Now that I ain't debating about. That's ridiculous. They need to leave
okay.
it
Well,
alone.
I'm
Okay.
going to let you speak.
I I want
Uh,
another Eddie Murphy album before I want a Drago movie. So put it like that.
Hey,
Eddie Murphy
look,
albums are amazing. So
my
um,
girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the
we getting off,
time.
I'm not gonna fall into it. Now, voice.
Yes,
Before
sir.
the night is over on Saturday, August 6th,
Mm-hmm.
at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas, an undefeated welterweight will experience their first loss. Now, in this bout, Virgil Ortiz and Michael McKinson is going to be squaring off in a bout that could mean the future of world title bout implications for them. Now, this fight was actually previously scheduled in March before Ortiz was actually required to pull out for major health reasons. So he's actually hoping a win could boost him up to a fight between the winner of the future Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford title fight. Now, Ortiz, who is fighting in his home state of Texas, is the current favorite. So, Royce, I got to ask, what are your thoughts on this bout? And would either fighter be a great opponent for the winner of the Spence Crawford bout?
You pose a very, very interesting question as far as an opponent is concerned. I can't really speak to McKinnon in that fashion. Or let me not say that. McKinnon less so because he doesn't hold the same kind of value, at least not here in the US. He's from the UK. He's number 2 as a welterweight in the UK. Don't ask me who's number 1 at welterweight in UK because I don't know. I didn't know that I don't know of any welterweight fighters from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, unless they were doing it across the pond, it really wouldn't make sense. And even if they did it across the pond, as big of a name as both Spence and Crawford are, it just it may not. Let me say this: it may not make sense because it may over there. McKinnon may be huge, in Sheffield or somewhere, and he's from Portsmouth, Hampshire, UK. Never heard of it. I'm sure people in the UK have, but I haven't. So maybe a fight there. They could do a soccer. I'm sorry, football stadium. That's right. Let me get it right. Since we have been talking all this fake wrestling stuff, football
The slander.
it's not slander. Um, what? Okay. Anyway, crispy football is the world's sport, and that is where you kick the ball with your foot the whole time. It is not this handball game that we call American football. That is it. So if they can fill a football stadium, which those hold about 60 to 80,000 people, then yeah, it will make sense for McKinnon. On Ortiz's end, Ortiz is a member of the greatest boxing fandom, or I should say, he's a part of the people who make up the greatest boxing fans in the world. He's Mexican American. You won't find more passionate and uh, uh, more supportive people than Mexican Americans in boxing. So from that perspective, yeah, it will make a whole lot of sense. Do it Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Do it in September for Mexican Independence Day. Absolutely. But Cinco de Mayo would make more sense, at least at this point, because Spence and Crawford, that fight hasn't even been made yet.
Right.
So yeah, fighting against Virgil Ortiz on Cinco de Mayo, that would make a whole lot of sense. But here's the problem. That's PBC and Golden Boy. They haven't been able to come together to give Tank a name fighter in Ryan Garcia. You think they're going to let Virgil Ortiz fight? And Virgil can fight. Now, here's the thing, especially for Virgil. I don't think he's long for welterweight. He's probably going to 154 soon. But then you're still running into the same situation where Charlo has all of the belts. at 154 right now. Unless he loses one because he doesn't want to take a mandatory, again, you're going to run into this situation. Now, as far as this fight card is concerned, it should be a really good fight. It's a really good test for Virgil because he is taking on another young, him being young as well, but taking on another young, undefeated welterweight in McKinson. And Catterall showed us, look, it's some gyms over there in the UK, some gyms across the pond that we don't know about. Because Catterall gave Taylor all he wanted and made him look so bad, he started dropping belts. He's no longer the unified champion because he wants to fight him again and get his name back. Or I should say, get show that it wasn't a fluke that he won, because Catterall, he might have won that fight. He might have won that fight. But anyway, so being a matchup for either of the winners, especially if Crawford won, because I don't know how they're going to structure his contract. They'll probably get him for 2 fights, at least 2 fights, maybe 3. But if it's a 1-fight deal for him to go on and fight Ortiz to be a free agent and to be able to fight Ortiz, that would be huge.
No, I mean, there's definitely you mentioned a lot there. There's definitely so many things. I want to see Spence Crawford take place as soon as possible because I think that's a question we need answered. You kind of hear that all the time about who's better between them, but also Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia need to get it over with, because if Ryan Garcia wins, it needs to be noted so that we can actually move on. Either move on from Ryan Garcia or give him the credit that maybe he deserves. And I can't say that he deserves it because I'm skeptical of it, because I don't think he's fought the competition that Tank Davis has. I knew you were gonna laugh. But if you think about Ryan Davis's last few fights, are you telling me?
So you just making up fighters now, Ryan Davis.
No, I'm sorry, not Ryan Davis, Ryan Garcia. If you take Garcia's
Ryan Davis and Tank Garcia.
What did I say? I said Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. No, don't switch me up. So if you take Garcia's last few fights and you take Davis's last few fights, just kind of looking at the competition, are you telling me that Garcia is fighting stronger fighters than Davis?
No, I don't think either of them have fought very strong competition. But I'll say, as far as their resumes are concerned,
right,
Ryan, as far as fighting notable fighters, Ryan is that much above Tank. Here's why. The most notable fighter that Tank has fought was Leo Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
But Leo was coming up in weight to fight him.
Yep.
And Leo shouldn't have been, when he was coming up in weight, that was the second time he was coming up. He'd come up from like 126 to 130 to then 135 to fight Tank. But where he really plied his trade and was a champion and was doing a thing was 2 weight classes lower. It shouldn't have been happening, but it was a name fighter. Instead of fighting some other names that were out there, because there were other names out there for him to fight, but instead of fighting some other name, let's get somebody who let's get this featherweight champion up to lightweight and fight him there and call Tank great. Okay. Whereas Ryan fought and got dropped by Luke Campbell, who had just gone 12 rounds with Vasily Lomachenko. I'm sorry. And that was a fight just before his fight with Tank. To me, that puts Ryan a step ahead when it comes to competition. Now, you talk about their last couple fights. Tank fought Rolly Romero and Isaac Cruz. Now, granted, Isaac Cruz is a beast. We didn't know really how good he was until he got in there. We knew that he could fight a bit,
Mhm.
but we didn't know how really good he was. And that fight, even in a loss, caused him to raise his stock. Um, but he Ryan fought who Dog Bay and whoever he fought most recently. I don't even remember. Who did he fight in his last fight and knock out?
I
Whoever
forgot.
it was, yeah, he fought him. He knocked him out, and it was something that happened.
Mm.
Yeah, that happened. But outside of that, I mean, Tank last fought Rolly Romero.
The look of disgust on your face.
It's not discussed. It's like I didn't say anything because there was nothing else to say.
Well, I mean, Romero was talking good before the fight. You can give him that.
Yeah, which is good. That's good for
He is
building
right.
fights.
He believed in himself.
Yes, as he
That's
should.
you know what? I don't even want to talk boxing anymore. Let's go to the octagon. Okay, I succeed that. Let's go to the octagon. Now, coming up also this weekend, rounding out the weekend, we have UFC Vegas 59. That's actually going to take place, of course, inside the UFC Apex Center in Las Vegas. Now, the co-main event is actually going to see the veteran Thiago Santos take on Jamal Hill in a light heavyweight bout. Now, in this bout, both are actually current in opposite positions heading into this bout. Santos is actually 1-3 in his last four, with his most recent loss in March of this year. And Hill, meanwhile, is the winner of his last two bouts, with the most recent win, a February win versus Johnny Walker. So, voice. Now, Santos is a bit more of the veteran between the two. What are we expecting here, and can Santos actually bounce back from his last loss, from his last few losses?
He can bounce back. He can't bounce back against Jamal Hill, to my knowledge, though. Yeah, I mean, this he definitely needs a step down in competition. Hill is not a step down. I mean, it seems as if he may only have, and he being Santos, may
Mhm.
only have a couple fights left on his contract, which is why they are doing him the way that they're doing him, because it looks like they're doing the whole fight thing. You make a name for a new fighter by serving up someone who has experience and has already built a name. I mean, Santos is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. The man has won WON fight. It's like Chris Rock and I'm gonna get you sucker asking for one whip, one fight, one whip. That's all that we've had, and that was a unanimous decision to Johnny Walker, who his his credibility has taken quite a dip in recent history, and for
Mhm.
him to lose to Thiago Santos, that doesn't help either. Now he won that fight by unanimous decision. You know who Johnny Walker fought soon after that? He fought Jamal Hill. And you know what Jamal Hill did? And not only soon after, right after, Jamal Hill knocked Walker smooth out in the first round. He ain't take him to a decision. He knocked him smooth out in the first round. So again, this is to me, it seems as if they're serving the old lion to the young lion. I will give Santos credit. Of his losses, they've all been to some of the best of the best. Last loss to Magomed Ankalaev, who just won at UFC 277. He lost to Alexander Rakic, who I believe is if he's not undefeated in the UFC, he's only got one loss
Mhm.
in the UFC and is in title contention, even with that one loss. Yeah, he lost due to a leg injury to Jan Blachowicz back in May. So even though he lost, it wasn't that big of a loss. And then he lost to Volkan Ozdemir, a split decision, which really obviously was a split decision, so it could have gone either way. But that one was like, I don't know if that one should have gone to Volkan, or more so from my perspective, that really should have been a split decision. Volkan won. But he's still in title contention regardless of those things. And then he lost to the now former champion, Glover Teixeira, as well as lost to, or at least I should say, the decision did not go his way against John Jones. He won that fight. And he is the first person to ever take a scorecard from John Jones. That was a split decision loss, but he beat John Jones and he beat him on one leg.
Yeah, I was about to say he tore his ACL, his MCL, and whatever L was left, I think.
Yeah. And then they decided, since you had all them L's, let's just give you another one. So even though he is losing to quite a few people, he's losing to the creme de la creme. Insert Jamal Hill, who a number of people believe is the future of the division. And he very well could be. But Hill has been doing his thing. Sweet Dreams is a beast and has only lost in his career to Paul Craig. And how did he lose? He lost due to an arm injury. So he hurt himself. That's why he lost. It wasn't as much what Craig was doing as it was he hurt himself and then could not defend himself. Everybody else he's beat. He beat, like I say, he knocked out Johnny Walker. He's beat Jimmy Crute. He's beat Ovince St. Preux. He has won everything that he's done. Now he gets a true test in Santos. Santos pretty much is playing that gatekeeper status. And if he can get through Santos, then he should be in there with, I really see once he heals up, a fight with Rakic would be a great fight, coming up, unless they don't want to kill two contenders. Fighting with Rakic, that would be good. Fighting, whoever the loser is of, the next title fight between, Glover's fighting, or Glover should be fighting Yuri Prohaska, and if Glover loses, I don't know that he'd be fighting again. But fighting the loser of that would be a nice next step for him. That may be too much too soon. I don't know. But Jamal Hill, if he does what he should do, this should be really a coming out party for him.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, the perfect place to do it is in the main event. Well, taking place also on that UFC Vegas 59 card, we have the Voices marquee matchup. Now, on this bout, Muhammad Usman will actually face off against the undefeated Zach Pauga in the Tough 30 heavyweight title fight. Now, in a contrast to styles, the raw power of Usman will face off against a quick striking Pauga here. Now, both of these men know each other very well, having been on Team Pena this season. Now, Voice, what's your take on this bout? And what are your thoughts on Pauga coming in as a heavy favorite, which, if I'm not mistaken, he actually moved up from light heavyweight to heavyweight to take this bout, correct?
I don't know if he moved up for this bout because he's been plying his trade at not light heavyweight. He's been plying his trade at heavyweight for Tough. So, he's been fighting at heavyweight at least for the past, 3 to 6 months while they've been filming this. But I think that is probably right, having Pauga as a favorite as far as the fight is concerned. And here's why. He is undefeated. Now, granted, Usman has more fights than he does, but he's not lost, where Usman has lost twice. you know, he he's fought in some different, organizations, both LFA as well as Cage Warriors. Like you said, he is coming up from light heavyweight. The last time he fought professionally was at light heavyweight. So that would mean that he is the probably the faster of the two fighters, just because of where he normally plies his trade. So those things combined should give him a bit of a advantage. Here's where Usman may have more of the advantage. One, his last name.
Hmm.
He is Muhammad Usman, which means he is the brother of the Nigerian nightmare, Kamaruddin Usman. He has been in these situations before. He has been around the spotlight and the flare and things of that nature. He knows what it's like to compete on a big show card by being there with his brother. Oh, and then also having fought in the PFL. So it's not the first time that he's been in a major promotion, where this is going to be a first for Pauga. Granted, I believe this fight is going to be at the Apex, so it won't necessarily have that real big fight feel as if it were in a stadium, but it's still the big time. This is still a much higher pressure situation, where in the PFL, every single fight matters. If you have made the season, every single fight matters. And for Usman, he was fighting to try to make it into the season and lost via rear naked choke. So he needed that victory to get in, and he knows what it's like to lose. Now he has the opportunity to do things all over again, and to do it on the biggest platform possible in MMA, being the UFC. So there's a lot on the line. Obviously, a contract with the UFC is on the line for the winner. Um, but Usman knows what it's like to be in there and to fight for a contract and to come up short. So there's a different level of hunger that comes along with the experience that he has. Where Pauga, outside of getting cut for different NFL teams, he doesn't know what that's like
Hmm.
to to really be vying and fighting for your opportunity and to come up short. Especially in football, you could give it your all and it's just like, hey, we got too many people at your position, so we're not going to keep you. This one is truly based on your actions and your actions alone.
Wow. Well, there's really nothing else to be said about that. I mean, that definitely sounds like it's going to be a great fight. I love Muhammad's nickname, Muhammad the Motor. I think that's incredible. So either way, I'm
Well,
tuning
he better live up to it,
in.
because he's going to have to motor the whole time. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen a fight or two where things are kind of slowed down. So he better live up to that.
Well, I mean, they have Pauga as a favorite actually, by TKO. So we'll definitely see what happens there. So that bounces off another amazing weekend of combat sports that you can check out.
Mhm.
Voice, we thank you, sir. You've been incredible as always today. Give us your last thoughts, any upcoming news, anything else you want to share.
Yeah, I do. I've got some things that I forgot to mention that I definitely want to share. Sticking with UFC on ESPN 40, you have not just the heavyweight finale of The Ultimate Fighter, but you also have the women's flyweight finale between Juliana Miller and Brogan Walker. I've seen Brogan fight. She brings it, and she's from the region. I think she fights out of Glory MMA. So there's definitely some interest there for me, because anytime someone is from St. Louis and or the St. Louis area, or Nigerian, then you've got my interest. Hence the Voices marquee matchup. And then also this fight. But you also got a great heavyweight fight between Augusto Sakai and Sergey Spivak on the main card. Ariane Lipski and Priscilla Cachoeira are going to kick things off at flyweight. So, a lot of good stuff going on that main card. And on the prelims, you got T-Rex, Terrence McKinney fighting as well. So, there's some decent fights on that card. Now, on the Ortiz McKinson card, there's a fight that we didn't talk about that's really, really interesting. I don't have a Voices marquee matchup normally for boxing, but I would say this is about as close to it as you can get. You have former champion Maurice Hooker, former light welterweight or super lightweight, whatever one you want to call it. Not super lightweight. Yeah, super lightweight. 140 pound. How about that? Maurice Hooker. He's fighting Blair the Flair Cobbs. This will be Hooker's third fight at welterweight, and he's 1-1 right now. He last fought Virgil Ortiz and got knocked out. Which I think he was biting off a bit more than he could chew there, and it was more so due to promotional and broadcasting rights that fight got made. But yeah, he was biting off more than he could chew. This is a much better fight against Blair Cobbs, who's also coming in off of a knockout loss. So you have two fighters who are attempting to make a name for themselves at welterweight, taking on each other, and it should be really good. Blair is never in a boring fight. He is one who is very quotable. So you'll find a lot of good information out there regarding him, but he and Hooker fighting, that's going to be nice. And then also on Friday, the PFL playoffs will be taking place, and that one's headlined by an immediate rematch between Anthony Pettis and Stevie Ray, who Pettis tapped out due to yells last fight because he had something to go wrong with his ribs. For him to be back in it again so soon is a testament to the true warrior spirit that lies within him. And as we are finishing out recording today, Dana White Contender Series will be starting. So, there's always fights going on. You just have to keep your eyes open for it. And a great way to keep your eyes open for the fights and to know what's going on is to tune into the main card each week.
Most definitely. Tune into the main card each week. We're going to be going live for you good people. You can also catch us on MTMV Sports. That's in that new time, Saturdays, 10:30 a.m.
Fight Nights update, yeah.
It's always a great show. Voice, we appreciate you giving your expertise, sir. And tell us where we can follow you at, just to kind of keep up with more news.
To follow me on social media, it's the same for everything. It's The Voice, THAVOYZE on everything.
Awesome.
If you don't find me on that platform, it just means I'm not there, i.e. TikTok.
Awesome. Well, thank you, good sir. You can follow me.
Can I ask to do one last thing?
What's that?
For our inaugural live show.
What's that?
For all the wonderful people, I put this on just for y'all.
Fancy. Of course, it's going to be St. Louis, Missouri.
But it's yeah.
Always repping.
Always. I got some more in my repertoire that I'm gonna pull out as time goes on.
Well, I'm not repping today, but y'all know I'm
yeah, you definitely not. You got on Stanky's head.
Listen. I'm a hat sports player, okay, and only certain hats go well when I'm filming. I had to learn it the hard way. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Teddy Farrow. Of course, we want to thank you guys for joining us. We hope you continue to join us every week. Definitely, just follow the team MTMV Sports. I got nothing else. Boys, thank you for another great show, sir. Lead us out.
Until next time, fight the good fight.